Someone asked, pointed out here, Adebiyi said, instruments is overwhelming. And I think that's a fair statement to make. Instruments is overwhelming because there are lots of instruments for a start. Then when you launch one of them, like Time Profiler, there are lots of sections to that instrument, so you can really dig into various different ideas. And systems tracers particularly notorious for having sections within sections within sections within sections. And that's hard. I mean, the tools are out there, but with instruments being quite so daunting, what advice would you have to help someone put a toe into instruments in an easier way?
I have to admit, I'm myself not using instruments super often. It's only when I have like really, really gnarly problems. Like, for example, when we see like a very, very high memory increase. And what I usually do is like, because I also forget, right? Sometimes how everything works. I'm trying to look at WWDC videos where people explain how to use it, or sometimes you have great blog posts as well where they're just like breaking everything down for you, how to best use it. Or sometimes if you have a good colleague who knows about these things, involve them,
Hmm.
work together on that.
Well, I guess you're lucky there because you have at Netflix, you have Jordana, you now have Adam Bell as well, and I'm talking some other great engineers. You've got a team around you to help you learn and find and fix things. Presumably, you can ask them lots of questions.
Yes, absolutely. I actually lean on my colleagues. They lean on me. I guess that's what a team is for, right?
Yeah. So often folks like Prathamesh, who is doing PO or similar, or his friend is doing it, um, that mostly works. You go, this name thing isn't quite right. What's going on there? So you pause the program, go to the terminal, and type PO name or something like that. And Swift will say, there is no name. What do you mean name? And you're like, no, it's right there. I can see it. Why can't you see it? And Swift will deny all knowledge of there being a name. And you're like, oh, God. When you hit that kind of wall, and sadly we do still hit that kind of wall, where do you go next? Where do you go next?
I mean, honestly, I also use a lot of PO, and for something like this, I fall back to print debugging sometimes. If it's just too hard to figure out what's wrong with my debugger, yeah, print debugging is the way that I solve this. But sometimes if it's just like a property that is missing, it's usually just because my debugger doesn't know what kind of object I'm having there in the first place. So then it's casting, and then I can call that method, because you cannot always just stop your program and add another print command in, especially if you're trying to debug a really, really hard edge case, right?
Mm.
So, yeah.
So how often do you fall back on, just literally scattering print statements around? Because you know most, if not all, of Apple's debugging tools. But how often do you literally say, right, I've exhausted everything now, I'm going to put a print OMG here and see what comes out, basically?
I actually do that when I run through a certain code path very, very often, and I need to actually follow what kind of like input that method got
Hmm.
after over time. Then I definitely use it quite often. But other than that, I use PO a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually made a simple Xcode source editor extension that you press a button, it adds print I am in X named method as it's in every method you have in your class, and then you
Hmm.
can press a button to remove them all in one pass as well. So it makes it very easy to find
Oh,
these
nice.
following through and then unfollowing through very quickly. If I had any time in my hands, I'd add it so it does it when it leaves the method as well, because you could use print entering method A, defer print leave method A, and it would do it when it left the method. But I have no time, Carola. You know what it's like.
Yeah.